Hi, this is Brad Nein, and we are Tormenta Strong.
Hey, this is Courtney Cawley, and we are Tormenta Strong.
Super excited today to get on a chat with Courtney. She's our director of Sweet Feet. She works with all our kids between the ages of 2.5 and 7, goes out to the schools, introduces soccer in a fun and exciting way. And she's been with us for the last 6 years. Just
6 or 8?
8 years. Been with us for the last 8 years, crushing it. The kids love her. Her enthusiasm is contagious. Her knowledge is out of this world. And I want to bring her in here so you can learn more about her, and we can talk shop and talk about a lot of stories and a lot of fun times we've had throughout the years working with Sweet Feet and coaching kids and being around soccer. Court, can you tell us some stuff about yourself?
What do you want to know about myself in regards to soccer and how I got into this?
Give us your origin story. Let me know where you grew up. Why did you get into soccer? Why are you coaching now? Tell me about you.
Well, I grew up in Savannah, Georgia. I'm the baby of 7 kids, and all of my siblings played soccer. So naturally, I followed in those footsteps, and I've been playing since I was able to walk. Played all throughout college, and when I got into college, I started studying elementary education, and because I've always had a deep-rooted connection with kids.
Hold on 1 second there, Court. So you jumped right to college. Tell me about your youth career as a soccer player. I know you were on the road a lot, but I don't think people understand what soccer was like in Savannah in the early 2000s.
If you wanted to play in college or get noticed at all, from the age of 12 or even before that, you had to leave Savannah to go play somewhere. And so I played in Golden Isles for a year or two. And then from age 13 on, I was playing soccer in Atlanta. So every single weekend I was there. Even our home games were away games for me, but that's what you had to do if you wanted to continue to play, which people are very, very fortunate now to be able to have the level that exists here in Savannah.
Amazing stuff. And then, so you did that, and you went to Windsor Forest High School and played there. Probably got your shirt retired or something because you were amazing. And then you went on to your college experience. Where'd you start off there?
I started off at Utah State. So as soon as I graduated, I was like, I'm getting as far away from here as possible. And it was a really humbling experience. Coming from Savannah, the pool of players here that were talented were few and far between. And so going into an environment like Utah State, where it's a D1 school, they've done really well, winning the conferences and whatnot. It was a huge reality check for me. I had a lot of work that I needed to do in order to play at that level. And then after there for a bit, I transferred back to Armstrong with Eric Faulkner, who I knew growing up, and still another really, really incredible experience. But if I wouldn't have had the experience that I did at Utah State, which challenged me and made me grow in so many ways, I wouldn't have been able to be the player and leader that I was at Armstrong.
What position did you play at Armstrong?
I was number 6 as the holding mid.
So you just crushed people all the time?
I did all the dirty work,
That was
awesome.
That was some of my favorite times was watching you play because I did coach against you when you were a senior in high school, as I always bring up that story. And my Wayne County girls soccer team was able to win 5-4. So I can always hold that over your head. And I think you scored all 4 goals, and a really good player.
One girl on your team, I think she scored all 5 goals.
Scored all 5 goals. So it was a magical high school experience that we were part of before.
Look at us, how many years later?
Yeah, that was in 2008.
Yeah.
So we're talking we're old now. So
yeah.
I was old then.
Speak for yourself.
And then so you're living this soccer world. You're at Armstrong. What kind of accomplishments did you guys have at Armstrong with your teams that you were on?
We have a lot. You know how much time you have, but I think every year that I was there for 3 years, we won the conference and almost won the conference tournament every year and made it to the Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final 4. A really, really incredible group of people. And I think that means more than any sort of accolade that we got. You know, I had 10 seniors in my class, and to this day we have a group chat where we're talking all of the time. We just got together not too long ago in Nashville, and you don't find that too often. And we also have that with our coach. Like, we still text, you know, it's pretty incredible, and I'm very lucky to be able to have had that.
Coach Eric Faulkner, amazing.
He's the best.
Relationship builder, culture creator, turns teams that weren't, you know, either starts programs or turn teams that weren't super successful into these successful groups of people that get it done on the field and just seem to love each other after they're done playing. Like, what are the things that he did that were so awesome with you all to like create this culture that you still have this group text how many years later?
That was what, 2012?
Yeah, 2012.
Yeah. Well, he did a lot of incredible things, but I think the thing that he did the best and that was the most beneficial for all of us was he showed us that he cared. You know, it wasn't necessarily about winning all of these different things. It was like letting you know that, like, we're in this together. I love you, and yeah.
Like little talks before the game, after the game. What were
the ways he did that? Open.
Yeah.
Like, you could text him, call him whenever about anything. He was real.
Right.
You know? And he wasn't like a know-it-all either, too. Like, he didn't have an ego. And I think that's extremely important when you're working with others as a coach.
Sure. So coming off of that in 2012, riding high.
I was like, what do I do with my life after soccer?
Didn't you guys go to the D2 Final Four that year, or was that the year before?
That was the year before that. We made it to the Elite 8 last year, and
Yeah.
It was pretty awesome still. The game before leading the Sweet 16, we won in penalty kicks, you know?
Wow.
It was pretty intense.
Yeah. So then coming out of college, you're like, I want to live in Savannah and do Sweet Feet the rest of my life, or
no, I had no clue.
What's going on in your head here?
I had no clue that I wanted to do that. Like I said before, I knew that I wanted to work with kids, and that's why I was doing the whole elementary education thing. But while I was doing my observation hours, I saw red flags left and right.
Right.
You know, with these environments that were like a one-size-fits-all model for kids. And like, if anyone knows kids, you know that they're all different and they all learn different. And the environments that were created for them weren't filled with using their imagination and being creative, and they weren't having fun.
Right.
And I knew that there was no way that I could do or fulfill the desire that I had to make an impact with kids in that sort of environment. And I remember you asking me to come do some Sweet Feeds and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, I love kids, I love soccer. And here we are 8 years later, you know.
So, I mean, off of that, what are, you know, now you're in this, for a while you taught classes and that's what you were doing. And then after teaching classes, you were in charge of scheduling everybody. And then eventually you were teaching classes, scheduling everybody, working with the directors at the schools to see when all the dates can happen for these types of classes. And then within the last 2 years, you've run all of Sweet Feet, including creating lessons, hiring coaches, holding them accountable, making sure everybody's on the same page with what we're trying to do and create in this atmosphere with Sweet Feet. What were some of your biggest hurdles you had to get over to get into this leadership role?
I think dropping my ego, you know, and not being afraid to fail. Those two things have been really, really beneficial for me. You know, I think something that we have as young professionals, we think we know everything, and that can be really, really damaging to us and our success. And so I think I had to figure out that this is a learning process, and it will continue to be a learning process until I no longer do it. which I'm also really grateful for. So yeah, I think getting over those two things and like being okay with making mistakes.
Now tell us a little bit about Sweet Feet. Like, what does that entail? Like, you show up at a school, and then what goes from there?
You show up at school, you might go get the kids from class, make sure everyone uses the bathroom because bathroom breaks during class. I mean, that's not fun for anyone. Fill up some water bottles, and then you head out to the field and you have 45 minutes with these kids where you're creating this story where you could be going to the moon or dinosaur land or learning about recycling, you know, whatever it may be. Creating a story that's engaging and fun for them, and then using a soccer ball as a way to make that story come to life. So these kids are like kicking the ball into tall cones and rolling the ball over cones and learning skills that, while they don't even realize that they're learning them. And I think that's where the magic happens.
Like, your job's intense because you have to be a leader to 3-year-olds, and then you have to lead your staff, and then you have to be a leader to the school directors. So it's almost wearing 3 different type of leadership role hats. When you're working with the kids, let's start there with the kids. Like, how do you make it fun for them? What kind of leadership things are you trying to create within their world, so that right now they're 3 or 4 years old, but when they're 8 or 9, not only are they still playing soccer, but they're taking a couple of things from what Coach Courtney taught them when she was 3 or 4, and are still putting those into play, and they're not necessarily soccer things.
I think it's meeting them where they are, you know, at each age that they might be in, and realizing to meeting each kid where they are in that moment, because there's so many kids that you could have in class and they're all different. And I think it's really important to create that connection with them that lets them know that you're there for them, you're supporting them, and you're rooting for them.
Similar to what Coach Eric might have created for you?
Exactly. Because like you said, they might not necessarily be playing soccer forever. And I think with Sweet Feet, that's not necessarily our goal. Understand that kids aren't going to play soccer. And I'm not here to necessarily make any child fall in love with soccer. But I want to create an environment where they're able to have fun, use their imagination, be creative, be themselves, and also learn to love themselves and learning along the way. And I hope that's something that as coaches we all realize too, you know, like they're not going to be soccer players forever, but they're going to be human beings. And so doing what we can to create environments that are beneficial for them as a person, environments where they can grow.
Absolutely. And now with your staff, and so do they go out every week and just make up their own session, or do you put them together? And then how do they know what to do? What equipment do they use? There's so many hurdles to try to get over. What's this process look like?
I guess they don't seem like hurdles because they just feel so normal, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's also important to realize too, for me, like it's not my staff. We are all a team. Just because I have the word director next to my name doesn't necessarily mean that I'm better than anyone else or that I know more. And so there's a weekly email that goes out to all of the coaches checking in, saying thank you for all that you're doing, and let me know if you have any questions, if I can help. And then attached is the lesson for the week. But that could come from me or that could come from someone else. You know, Ruthie, she's always coming to me with these ideas that she has and writing up lessons. And so we just sort of all share that responsibility.
That's great. That's the team effort that's needed, right?
Because I would be exhausted if I tried to do it all myself. And I don't want to. Like, I know that I don't know everything. I have some pretty great ideas, but I also know that so do other people. And that's what a team's about, you know, being able to come together and create it together, not just one person.
And trying to empower the group, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, they empower me as well, you know?
Right, absolutely. And then we're working with all the different schools, because we're in upwards of 35 schools. each season. What does that process look like?
Well, I love talking to people, and so yeah, I could sit there and talk to the directors all day, check in with them, email them, see like how it's going. I think again it comes back to creating these relationships where they're trusting you to come into the school and work with these children.
Right, because it's their kids at the end of the day. We're at their facility, and the rules are different in nearly every school, right?
Yeah,
so
they are.
To try to catch our part-time Sweet Feet staff coach up to and get them up to speed with understanding the rules of that particular school and how to work with the kids, it's always that first season's always kind of a little harder for that person.
Yeah, but that's why you put them with someone that's been doing it for a while, which we've done a really great job with that over the past couple of years. As being a leader or having the role of a leader, I have to make sure that I'm not setting up the teachers for failure,
Right. And yeah, you've done an awesome job of that. Now with all this fantastic time at Sweet Feet and a lengthy playing career you have to have some pretty cool stories of success or memorable moments with soccer, or just something that people want to dive deeper and know a little bit about you from your playing days or coaching days. Any like big time memories that come to mind?
I don't know if anyone's really interested in my playing days. There's been many memorable experiences, but I think the experiences that have meant the most to me and been the most influential in my life are the ones where I failed, as a coach and as a leader. And my role as a leader started when I was playing at Armstrong and I was the captain. And I definitely failed a lot being young and in that role and not dropping my ego. But in those moments where I failed and have continued to fail, I am able to learn so much about myself and grow. And again, it's an ego check for me to realize, again, I don't know everything. And I want to always be learning and constantly improving to be better for the people around me.
And that's such good wisdom for anybody out there, players, coaches. They don't even have to be in the soccer world, right? They could take this into something they're doing if you're in the business world or you're a teacher or anything along those lines. I just think that's fantastic. And if we can keep getting that message across to not only the people we work with, but the coaches we work with and the schools we work at, I think everyone comes out better in the end.
I don't think we necessarily live in a world where failure is seen as a good thing. And so I'm sure there's a lot of shame and people are afraid of it, but maybe we can drop the stigma behind that sooner or later.
Sure, 100%. And then it's what you do with your failure, right? So,
do you just sit and wallow in it and feel bad for yourself, or are you proactive and take what you can from it to grow,
Right, and that's the part that's hard for a lot of people. And then how fast can you grow from it? Is it going to take you 6 months? Is it going to take you 3 years till you look back and you say, oh, I was probably wrong there and I should have grown from that piece? So it's how fast can you put this into action then at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. I'm all about time management, so.
Well, that leads us into how do you prepare yourself mentally for a day that may start at 7 a.m. because it's raining out, and you might have to cancel classes, but then you don't have to. Then you go teach 4 or 5 classes a day, and then you go work with kids at a 4:30 to 5:30 session at the landings in our recreation program. So that's a busy Tuesday for you. What do you do to mentally prepare yourself to keep yourself physically fit? What are some things behind you that allow you to have the success when working with kids and adults?
I do a lot of meditation, and that is a direct there's a direct correlation between that and my ability to get through these days. With the meditation, you know, it's about, you have these thoughts that come and then you let them go. And so non-attachment. And so if there's a day where I have to cancel class and then know we're having it, like can't find instant space or it's crazy, when these little fires start to pop up, if I'm able to use what I learned through my meditation practice and not attach to what's happening and just letting it be, my days are a lot more enjoyable. Now, I'm not perfect, obviously, but that's been a huge part in my mental clarity over the past couple of years.
So with that meditation piece, is that something you do at home, or do you usually go somewhere, or is there something that, you know, works really well for you?
It depends, you know, every day is different. And I feel different every single day. And so I just try to see what I'm feeling that day. I have some guided meditations that I do, or walking meditations where you just go outside and are just taking everything around you in. Sometimes I just sit and I don't listen to anything. Or you could wash the dishes and clean. You know, meditation can come in many different forms. It's just something where you're doing the task at hand and not letting any of these thoughts overcome what you're doing.
Do you have an app that you use at this point?
Yeah, there's an app called Insight Timer. It's one of my favorite ones. There's thousands of different meditations and different categories depending on what you're needing that day.
So Insight Timer, okay.
Yeah, and I think it's really, really important to let people know. There's people that don't know about meditation, think it's like some weird stuff, and don't realize that like meditation is not shutting off your brain and not having any thoughts. You know, if you didn't have any thoughts, you'd be dead. And so it's just coming and sitting with whatever comes up, you know?
Sure. So yeah, that's great. So on the daily, you're using meditation. I know you're a yoga instructor, so probably some yoga.
Yeah, my at-home practice, because of all this, has gotten it's gotten insane in a great way, you know? Yoga also is a big, not only to be physically fit, but I don't do yoga for that reason. I do yoga because it helps me go back to what I've said before with dropping my ego, you know?
Sure.
No matter what you, and like forgetting what you know. When it comes to your body is different every day. And so you could go onto your mat and try to do something that you did the day before, a different pose, and it's just not working. And sort of dropping what you know about the pose, and again, letting whatever's happening and not attaching to it, you know?
Sure. It's deep level stuff, that it sounds like it puts you in a really good place. Is there somebody?
Again, that's a good net. That's also a big thing out there. People think that like people that do yoga and meditate, they think they're perfect and awesome and so happy. It's like, nope. I have a lot of Tuesdays that are bad, you know?
Right. But it puts you in an opportunity to get to a better place, right? Is that kind of?
Yeah, really, if you realize where you can be mentally. And I don't know about you, but I don't like not feeling good. And so I'm going to be proactive and do the things that I know will make me feel better and in a better place whenever those hard moments show up.
Sure. So that's how you kind of take care of yourself mentally and physically. Is there anybody that you read a lot or you look up to, or maybe you read their, emails or blog posts or tweets or anything?
I really enjoy Seth Godin's emails, little newsletters that he sends out. And I think the biggest thing about him, I mean, obviously he's very intelligent, but he's real. And sure. I can appreciate that in anyone, you know? But as far as people that I look up to, or people that I look up to like for success, I think everyone's definition of success is different. For me, my definition of success is doing something that I love and having an impact in the world and being surrounded by people that I love. And so I look up to anyone that's doing that. You could be 19 years old, you could be 25, you could be 63, you know, you could be whatever occupation as well, you know. But I look up towards anyone that is not compromising their happiness for monetary reasons or.
Right. Awesome, Court. Well, we're living in this crazy coronavirus time right now where everything's been canceled, soccer's been shut down. We're not able to get out to schools or get on the fields or have training sessions and have games. And the whole Tormenta family and the Sweet Feet families are all missing you and the coaches and being around each other and, going through this common American upbringing together, I think right now. Well, do you have any suggestions or tips on what, Sweet Feet kids could be doing during this time while they're, at home with their parents every single day?
Shout out to all the parents, by the way, that are staying home with all of the kids. I know, or I don't know, but I can only imagine how intense and stressful that may be. So everyone that's doing it, you're doing a great job.
Yeah, I did set up a tent yesterday, so the kids had a camp out last night. So.
Yeah, that's it though. You have to, my suggestions would be to get creative and just get outside and play. Whether you grab your mom and dad or your brother or your dog, and you just go outside and you kick the ball, making up weird games with your siblings, like maybe hiding soccer balls all over the place, no Easter eggs this year, but going and finding all the balls and turning the balls into Easter eggs and then dribbling the balls over to a spot,
Sure.
Just having fun, creating challenges with your friends and then sending videos back and forth to each other.
And having fun is such a big part of Sweet Feet, along with your positive.
It should always, fun, it's not always going to be fun, but it should be a really, really important aspect in things that we do, Just because you get older doesn't mean you stop having fun, and
No, and I agree 100% with that. But I want to go to a deeper dive on this fun piece where you're trying to create fun in every Sweet Feet session. That's the number one thing, correct?
Yeah. So if the kids aren't having the lesson that day, what do? You drop the lesson and do whatever maybe makes them laugh, You have to be fluid in that sort of environment. And
here's where I think a lot of people miss, though, when they're working with this age group, they don't know what fun looks like.
Yeah.
Like they can't tell whether it's, I'm having to teach this kid these 4 movements at the age of 5 years old, and I can't tell if they're having fun, but it looks like they're not because they're not trying their hardest. Or am I doing something else just to get them hooked on the game before I work on their technical, tactical, physical basis? What does fun look like for when you're out there at Sweet Feet?
Whatever's making the kids laugh,
Like, is trying hard something along those lines too, or like
trying hard in the sense that you're trying hard to create an environment that is meeting them where they are in that moment. Could be me running around and then chasing me, trying to kick their soccer ball into me, or making up weird dances and flying around like airplanes. It depends on the child, the class, the school.
Sure. So, but fun,
There is no, fun looks many different ways.
Yeah. So fun as far as like parents at home in the coronavirus with their kids, us at Sweet Feet classes, Tormenta working with older players. Why do you do it if it isn't fun, right?
Yeah.
If you're not in that fun environment.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm sure at some point you played for a coach or you had an experience on the soccer field that wasn't that fun.
Mm-hmm.
And you could be having the hardest practice of all time, but if you're with somebody that shows how much you care, it ends up being fun and helpful for everybody, is what I found.
Yeah, you think about fitness, right? And Coach Eric used to trick us because we were playing this game and in it there was some sort of running, but we didn't even realize or care or whatever because we were enjoying what we were doing so much.
And that's one of the pieces of being like just a great coach, I think, as well. So getting the fun to ride across. Last question I got for you here. We've loved having you for these last 8 years at Sweet Feet, and I hope you stay here for the next 30, because I know when I give you something to do, or that now you create your own pretty much tasks. it's going to get done. It's going to be done 100%. You're going to go out to the school. The kids are going to have an amazing time. Everyone's going to be having fun. Everyone's going to be loving soccer. Everyone's going to be wanting to move on and, take what they learn from you and somehow parlay that into other parts of their life. What are your goals for the next, 3 to 10 years? Like, what do you see yourself doing? How do we expand Courtney Cawley?
In the next 3 to 10 years, I mean, that's a huge span of time. Just trying to get through the next couple of months, honestly. But I think my goal or my plans for the future, I'm not really sure, but I know that whatever I do, it's going to be helping, for the most part, kids, I want to, in some sort of way, and creating opportunities for children of all different backgrounds. I think that's the dream. There's a lot of kids that can't necessarily be a part of sports and programs and this and that, whether like it might be money or mom and dad not around, and it's not the way that it should be, and it's unfortunate. And so I think continuing to create opportunities for kids in that sort of capacity, whether it's through soccer or a yoga program or basketball or whatever, I just want to create more opportunities for kids. We don't get to choose what we're born into, and you and I are innocent privileged, and we just so happen to be born into whatever families we were born into. And it's unfortunate, but rather than looking at that as a negative thing, I would like to use my privileges to help others that don't necessarily have those.
I love that, and that's one of the big reasons I love having you on the team, because you're constantly trying to get us into schools and locations that those kids might never see soccer ever, and we're giving it to them when they're 3 to fall in love with, and making it affordable and making it one of the best experiences of their lives, and that goes such a long way.
Yeah.
Thank you, Court. I loved the story time here, going on the deep dive, talking all things Courtney, Sweet Feet, next 10 years, coronavirus. Looking forward to I'm going to be trying to do one of these each week, so that everyone gets to learn a little bit more about our coaches that work with the kids and are part of your lives, so we can stay connected during these this coronavirus break that we're on. Thank you so much, Courtney.
Thank you. It was great.
Can't wait
to see you in so long. It's weird.
Can't wait to see you in person again at some coffee shop in Savannah, I'm sure.
Awkward side hugs.
And then on the field and everywhere else, and all that good stuff. But thank you, Tormenta family, for checking in, and looking forward to seeing you soon. Thanks, Court.
Thanks.